All right, so we're here with Sam Martin, second-year linebacker for the Tigers, talking a little bit of Dal football here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So yeah, I'm in second year. I'm a kinesiology major. I started playing football halfway through high school, so I'm still pretty new to it. Yeah, I came to Dal, pursue my studies, and keep playing football because I love it.
So you're from the UK originally, right? So tell us a little bit about the football in the UK.
Yeah, so I moved to Canada in 2017, so I'd be grade 8 at that point. I was originally a rugby player before I came to football. And I got the pleasure of going back over this summer and actually trying out and playing for the national team for a little bit. They've got some dogs over there.
Yeah,
they've got some really good players, and but the atmosphere over there is great. The same as you would get in any team over here. Really, people who are really keen into the sport and really keen to get better. I know a couple of guys who are actually coming over to Canada this year and coming and playing in the CGFL, and I keep in contact with them. It's a really cool atmosphere, and it's really nice to be around people that want to get better. Right. And that's what I found when I was over there this summer. It was awesome.
Awesome. So you said you tried out for the national team, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I reached out to a couple of the coaches a couple of years ago actually to see if I was still eligible, because I know those weird rules about moving to Canada and the amount of time I spent over here versus there. And I got a response last summer saying that I would still be eligible, and I flied over, went to a couple of the tryouts, spent a couple of days in camp over there with the team, and it was a really great atmosphere. Obviously, I didn't get the pleasure of going and competing with them. There was just some issues in terms of organizing flights and figuring out the game day.
Yeah.
But yeah, got to go over there and meet all the guys, meet the coaches in person, and they were really stoked to have me over there, which is awesome. And I appreciate all the love I got from them over there. I got to meet some really high level players at the NFL Academy, and some guys have had some high level coaching. It was a really good few days of camp.
Cool.
It was good.
So originally from the UK, then you moved to Canada. I think you ended up in Prince Edward Island, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the football in Prince Edward Island.
So we don't have high school football in PEI. We have club provincial wide football. At the time when I was playing, it was only 6 men or 6 aside. Now, I believe it's at the U18 level, it's up to 9 aside. So I played for the Charlottetown Privateers, which is just my local team. And there were 2 or 3 other teams in the league at the time. So 6 man is a very different game that I got introduced to when I started playing in grade 11. And I just tried to adapt and become the best player I could at that game. And obviously, when I take the next step up and came to uni, do the same thing here, just trying to adapt and become the best I can here.
Right. So a bit of a change in terms of how the game goes. Tell us a little bit about your experience playing 12-man here, obviously.
12-man, it's a step up, definitely. I know some of the recruits that come in from my team over here, they're gonna hopefully experience the same thing. But it's not out of the world. You have great coaches that are here to support you. You have teammates that are here to teach you all the little tips and tricks when it comes to switching the gameplay over, and you pick it up really quickly. I found that after the first couple of practices, when all the nerves have been shaken off and actually get into the flow of things, it's a lot more easier than a couple of guys think.
Right. What's your advice for incoming guys this year, for incoming rookies?
So especially guys that are coming from the island when we haven't experienced 12-man football, the best piece of advice I can say is just get to know the people you're working with. Put yourself out there in the football community and in the school community really early. Network, essentially. Get as much experience from as many people as you can, especially guys that have played at a higher level or been on the team for an extra few years. Just put yourself in a position to learn, not only within your degree. Obviously in kinesiology, I found it pretty easy to network because we get to know our professors really well. But get to know your coaches, positional, on other side of the ball, on offense for me as well. Right. And get to learn some experience from teammates and the guys around you, because that's how you're going to learn the best, especially when going from 6 man to 12 man, for example. And
what would incoming players, should expect in terms of the team dynamic?
They should expect to work.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. They got to come with a nothing's going to come to them free mentality. But they also know they're going to be supported. And if they have any questions, if it comes to playbook or school or getting around in their daily life, that they have a whole support network with everybody on our team there to help them. But they got to come to camp ready to work, because nothing's going to come free.
So a little bit about kind of the development and stuff like that. Can you talk about the coaching at Dal?
At Dal, yeah, I've had great support over my last 2 years from both sides of the football. We get really good one-on-one time with a couple of our positional coaches, and we dove into the playbooks nice and early before camp. And it's a great culture to be around, and especially having the amount of support from both sides of the ball.
Yeah. And then in terms of kind of, now we're really into the off season at this point. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in the off season.
So yeah, this off season, things have definitely been ramped up a little bit higher than they have in past years. We've developed off into our off season training plan and at what we call our battalions program. The team's essentially been split off into groups, and each battalion's led by a team captain. I have my own team, for example. And we're running a very competitive off-season competition in terms of lifts, community service, pursuing educational greatness. Yeah, and essentially competing against each other throughout this entire off-season to who's being the best, not the best group, but the most active, the most determined, the most driven group.
Right.
And it's you know, guys are fired up. It's going to be a dangerous offseason and definitely a dangerous spring camp we're rolling into here.
Awesome. And you said earlier that you're in the KIN program, and you, like, obviously in terms of our off-season stuff, you had a bit of a hand in it this year. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've had the pleasure this year of working with Coach Dre and Coach Zwick in designing and programming our strength and conditioning program for the off-season. Obviously off the basis of what you guys provided with us last year, and making some modifications. Personally, I've had experience working in strength conditioning in the past, not only with Brett Armstrong here at Dal, but also Linked Strength Conditioning, the company I work for in the summertime, who've given me great opportunities to learn and, you know, be involved in the field with itself, and being able to pass that on to the team here and make other guys better as opposed to just myself.
Right.
It's a really good feeling, and being able to teach guys how to lift properly, critique technique, but also get them to move more weight and become a little bit more dangerous is it's a good feeling.
For sure. Good. And then you talked a little bit about culture. How would you describe the culture here?
It's like there's no other team I've played for that's had a culture like that. It's from the very first day at practice, immediately, you know, I got to know who my boys were, and it wasn't even just my positional group. I had guys from all across the field coming and saying hi to me, coming and saying, you know, what up, introducing ourselves, and it's just a tight knit feeling. Like we're, you know, this is our team, that we're here to make a statement, and it's like traveling to war with guys every single week when we go to games. It's special. Right.
And then obviously, you know, coming from the UK and then to Prince Edward Island and then eventually Dal, can you tell us about kind of what your decision making was for coming to Dal?
So when I was deciding on what university to go and end up playing for, I took my education into account pretty highly as well. So when I was deciding between a couple other programs in here, I valued the school side a little bit higher. I pursued kinesiology, and I was considering engineering at the time as well.
Right.
And I just wanted to develop my game, not necessarily go to a school where I wouldn't get as much playing time in my first couple of years, and let me develop my skill in addition to getting a good education out of it as well.
Right. And then, you know, obviously school's number one for us, and then can you talk a little bit about how the program is set up, or the schedule set up to allow you guys to, you know, really take care of your schoolwork?
Yeah. So the time commitment for like Dal football is, you know, there is a good commitment, but it isn't too strenuous that it doesn't allow you to complete your schoolwork on time. If you have good time management skills and you're on top of your you're on top of your stuff, you know, you're all able to get it done in time. I didn't find my last 2 semesters. I still took 5 courses, and I was still managed to get all my work done and get good grades. So. All
right, Sam. Well, thanks for taking some time and chatting with us. Obviously, you've been super crucial in terms of our off season so far, and I've been very, very pleased with the leadership that you've been able to, you know, give the team, and as well as the other battalion captains. Obviously, it's kind of a different one this off season, but you guys have been doing an excellent job. So really, really enjoyed having you here and chatting about Dal football.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me out.
Awesome.